Welcome to the Soul Infused Monday show. I'm super excited that you're here. I'm happy to connect with you. And if you're watching the replay, take a nice deep breath, remove any distractions, and leave me a comment below. So it always takes a moment. And in today's Soul Infused Monday show, it's a little bit of a follow-up from last week's Soul Infused Monday show, where I talked about the real danger of this pandemic. And today I'm gonna answer your questions and gonna continue that conversation with the questions that you sent me. So, I know it always takes a moment, and this is a live show, so if you are actually here and you see and hear me, please let me know. And give me a moment. Just bear with me for a moment. Hi, Tine. Hey, your question is the first one. So stick here with I'm just trying to do one thing here, so stick with me. So who else is here? Lynn is watching. Hi, Lynn. Who else is here? Just trying to share this on my other page. Good morning, good morning. I don't know how to do that. So anyway, not doing it then. Welcome to the Soul Infused Monday show. Every week a live broadcast at 12 p.m. Eastern Time to set the tone for the week. And today is a live Q&A. I have your questions here. I'm going to answer them. Last week I spoke about the real danger of the pandemic. I'm not going to go into that topic because obviously I don't have the time, but I want to do a super quick recap. And if you have not watched the show from last week, it's number 151. Go back and watch it. Just go back and watch it. Super important information, super important topic. And hey, Darlene is here. Hello, Darlene. And I asked you last week to send me your questions. I got questions. I'm going to go over as many as I can today. And to really, in a nutshell, about the real. Hi, Linda. So fantastic you're having your life. It's not the virus itself. It's really everything around it, and from a spiritual level is the fear that comes with it, the falling asleep again on our own mind, that we start listening to the fear, that we start listening to our own self-inner judgment and self-doubt and everything that comes with it. And that's a much bigger danger than getting a virus itself. So, and that really is not even scratching the surface of the surface. So go back to the show. It was last week's show, number 151, called The Real Danger. So go back and watch that. And whether you saw that show last week or whether you sent me a question or not, stick here with us because you never know when you're gonna get a breakthrough, or you never know if someone else's question is exactly what you need to hear today, or maybe someone else's question is your question. Hi Mandy, hi Alyssa, super excited to be in here with you today. Leave a comment below if you're here. And I'm gonna start with the first question. And before I go into the question, take a deep breath. Just take a nice deep breath. And obviously, I'm going to read the question, and I only have as much information as I have here. So I'm going to answer the question in the best of my abilities in whatever is coming on with here. If whatever I say is resonating with you, great. Grab what resonates with you. If something doesn't resonate with you, take it or leave it. It's like a buffet. See what's valuable for you and what's not. Okay? So, the first question I got is from Tina, and Tina said, thank you for a very intense and powerful show today, last week. Thank you, you're very welcome, I appreciate it. I deeply appreciate it. It made my mind spin, but one question I keep asking myself is, even though I can feel my boundaries most of the time now, I still say yes to much more than I can handle. With the outcome, me being so exhausted that I sometimes skip the things that actually strengthen me. Is it an unconscious way to avoid going too deep? And thank you for your question, by the way. First of all, thank you for any questions you sent me. I love your questions. And I am sure that, Tina, you are not the only one with this topic who else here knows about boundary issuing, that you say yes to something that you don't actually want to say? You're kind of aware, but it exhausts you. Like, who can resonate? Like, who can relate? Like, if you can relate, click the love button right now so I can see bing, bing, it coming up. So here's my answer. First of all, boundaries is a big topic, super important, and it's like with every other topic, and onion, I get a lot of loves here, so yeah. Thank you for that question. Yes, I'm sure you're not the only one. So this question, the answer is not only for teenagers, for everyone. First of all, it's okay to not be perfect with anything you learn. Boundaries is a big topic. To set healthy boundaries is one of the most important pieces when it comes to well-being, health, and being healthy. Because if you are constantly saying yes to something that you want to say no, you constantly say no to yourself, right? So first of all, be okay that it's not always perfect and you're still learning and it's a process, right? So I would say, first of all, celebrate the fact that you actually noticed it and that you often feel that you can feel your boundaries. And I remember times that was not the case, Tina. So I want you to take some time to simply celebrate yourself for it, or acknowledge it versus going in with self-doubt or self-judgment. I still say yes to much more than I can handle. And your question, and is it an unconscious way to avoid going too deep? So it's a multifaceted issue with boundaries. It can be an unconscious way to avoiding going deeper. There's no such thing like going too deep. There's no such thing like going too deep. I just realized that you can't go too deep. You either go deep or you don't. So many times, and it can also be here the case, when we say yes too often, it's often still an underlying issue from fear of being rejected, fear of being judged, wanting to please the other person. So look deeper into that, because that's actually avoiding also to look deeper into that. So it can be an avoidance mechanism, but generally is that there's a fear that is actually not a real fear, right? That we listen to, if I say no, then this will happen. Right? So Tina, and anyone who has the same question, like I still say, I say yes to things that I don't want to say yes to. First of all, take a breath. Look, it's okay. Recognize first, hey, I don't want to say yes to it, but I'm doing it. What's underneath? And you don't have to have the perfect answer and the perfect question right away. This is not a contest on, it's not an inner work contest. It's an awareness experience. And then ask yourself, what am I afraid of? And then you can ask afterwards the question, and what's the truth? Does that make sense, Tina? Is this helpful? Let me know. And I'm going to move on, and I can go back, or if you have a follow-up question, and if I don't get to it today, because I have a few questions that I want to go, and those who sent me the questions, I prioritize for now. I hope this was helpful. And then Laurel, totally makes sense. Thank you. Okay, great, Tina. I'm happy to hear that. Laurel's question is, and that relates to the topic that we spoke about last week, and also about not listening to every news and not believing everything you hear. My question is, how do you know what is true? I think it is very important to know who we are, but I also feel that in order to have a strong belief about something, you have to know all the facts. The truth about me never changes, but I still would like to know how much of the news is true, because I hear a lot about how much of the news is a lie and how it is trying to control us by using fear. How do I know how much of the news is true and how much is a bunch of nonsense? Having to do with the election and with power of a certain group, etc., etc. Great question. Who can relate? So, Laurel, how do you know what is true? So, how do you know which news are true or not? I don't know the answer to that question because you don't. I guess you don't know 100% if it's true or not unless you take the time to research. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a researcher. Somebody in the news might say, we have 37 new COVID-19 cases. I don't know if that's true or not. You know, I don't. You know, that's not maybe the answer you want to hear. The question you're asking is more the better question would maybe be, how can I deal with uncertainty or not knowing? And what is it and why do I need to know in order to feel a certain way? Does it make sense? So the truth is you don't really know completely unless you go through every research, you're a doctor and you fix it. Like, I don't know, I don't have the answer for that. And I think that's okay. It's okay not knowing. What I hear you say though is that you don't want to believe everything, but you also want to have a sense of the realness of it all. If that's the case, I would recommend find sources that you feel that come from an authentic place, and it's not like some sensational news, you know? It might be a scientific journal, it might be a doctor that you trust. Check more the sources of the news and then tune into yourself on what it is that resonates with you. It has to do with trusting yourself. It has to do with trusting in general. And then also to tune in, is this coming out of fear? Or is this coming out of like, do I want to know this out of fear so that I can control the outcome? Or am I trusting in, hey, whether that is true or not, how am I feeling about it? Whether that is true or not, who am I? Whether the circumstances outside are this or that, who am I? And what's the truth? Does that make sense? It's a very tricky question because I don't have the answer for you. My answer to you is to, if it's really important to you to know all the facts, then find out as many facts as you can from sources that are more reliable than just, like the common news that, present everything as doom and gloom. Find facts that consider both sides and not only one side, right? So I hope this is helpful. And I do believe there's a bunch of nonsense out there, right? But it's like, we would be so busy. Imagine we would want to find out everything that's true or not. I mean, will be busy with that all the time. That's actually also a way of keeping us busy, right? I was like, go in, go up, take a deep breath right now. And find out more of what's the truth within yourself. Okay, another question from Linda. Is this helpful for you guys? Even though it was not your question, does it resonate with you? Do you have, and I will go over, if you have a question here, I will go in to that, your comments in a minute. So this is a little bit of a longer one, but relates a little bit to Tina's one with the boundaries. That's why I want to bring it up, because this is one that so many people really struggle with. And if this is helpful, give me the love likes button that I know that. So Linda is saying, how do you stay you and hold your own with a beloved friend who seems to want to always be right, pounds you with questions even after you've said you have no answers, and is just a force to be reckoned with? She's my best friend and has held a space for me when I need it, and I have done the same for her. She is loving and caring and helpful in so many ways, but I find her aggressiveness off-putting at times, as I'm not aggressive nor competitive by nature. She's a really good person and has been a blessing in my life. I know I have a choice as to how to react when she's being forceful of her knowledge or ideas. But I find it difficult in the moment to be myself. And she also says, I do take into consideration her nature, her place in life at the moment, and the staying at home situation we are all dealing with. I care very much about her and her friendship, but I find her personality a bit overwhelming. Thank you so much for the opportunity to actually say my feelings. My admiration for you and your life's work is beyond words. You too are a blessing in my life. Much love, Linda. Thank you, Linda. I appreciate it. And thank you for your question. A great question about boundaries again. So how do you stay you? You don't stay you. You are you. And this is deep, by the way. So just like, it's not that I'm me now and then I'm not me and now I have to stay me. You are always you. Sometimes we just listen to a false self as us, or we kind of like fall asleep, right? We are not conscious anymore. But so don't worry about staying you. You're always you. The question is, when do I start listening to something that's not me? Does that make sense? So, and here are a few things that I want to say that are really super valuable in your question, Linda. It's a boundary issue. When someone is very forceful or you experience it as such, right? Everybody experiences things differently. And you don't feel heard. That's what I hear. I hear you saying something like, hey, I'm telling her, but she's keep doing it. When I hear something, then immediately I turn inward and say, okay, I don't feel heard. How am I setting a boundary? And because you care so much about her, and you kind of want to avoid conflict, you're maybe saying it, but you're being nice about it, or you may be not very direct with it. Or because you feel like you're not, you don't have that aggressiveness or kind of energy, you avoid that. So when we say a boundary or when we communicate, but the energy behind it gives a different message, it's not congruent, okay? So first thing I would say to you, check how you set boundaries, how you communicate with her, how do you tell her. It's like, hey, I don't have an answer for you. Stop asking me this question. Okay, this is clear. It's like, you might like it, you might not. But just for number one, check how you communicate, check how you set boundaries, and in which ways maybe that comes from a fear place or a wanting to please place, right? And I think that's relevant for a lot of fear. And a very common pattern that we all have. The one other thing that I have for you, Linda, and anyone who has anything similar to this, and you can take it or leave it. Just, I invite you to take it in or not. When you say, her aggressiveness is off-putting, I am not aggressive or competitive by nature. Anything you don't like in someone else is a quality that you don't see in yourself. So use it as a mirror. That doesn't mean that you are an aggressive person or anything, but there is a judgment about being aggressive and being kind of forceful. And there is a part in you that is that way too, but you dismiss it or you deny it, right? We all do that. We cannot deny what we don't want to be. So when we judge someone on the outside, there is something that we judge within ourselves. And then you can explore further and see, okay, in which ways maybe, and I'm just even saying maybe, am I having a similar behavior, but maybe with a completely different person or different situation in a different way? So this is a great opportunity. I feel like you really care about this friendship, and I think as much as I can read into this, it's an important person for you. So I would use this opportunity to be maybe honest with her in a way that you've never been. Be honest. Simply honest. And you can be even honest and say, hey, I want to be honest with you, but I'm afraid, or whatever your truth is. Truth truth, I mean real truth, is always kind and always brings healing and liberation. So I hope this helps. And if there's any follow-up question on that, and of course I know that a lot of things that I say, you know, and I don't mean you, Linda, I mean everyone who's watching, you watching. A lot of the things I say are not necessarily, oh my God, but sometimes we need that reminder or that mirror. So as soon as we are locked on the outside, let's go back in. Because the truth is, and including me, like everyone, like honesty is the best policy, right? We all want to control or change the outside or someone so that we feel better, right? And we're all the same. There's no judgment, there's no shame. And when we are aware, awareness is the key, yeah? We turn it inwards. And I do believe actually that that would be a blessing for her too. I think it would be a great gift for your friend Linda if you use this in voicing yourself a little bit more with a stronger boundary. I think that will actually enhance your friendship, but I do not know. So if it's not, don't come back at me. Okay, I have this out. So last question for today. What time is it? Woo, late. Last question for today from Emily. Linda, you have helped immensely. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to hear, Linda. Yeah, you're very, very welcome. I'm grateful for your question. Emily is asking. Emily, I don't think you're here live, but if you are, if not, watch the replay. Thank you for your question and always being there. Emily, want to commend her for her commitment to inner work. What do I do with the awareness of anger, bitterness, even hatred in my heart? It's there, and I don't want it here, or I don't want it there. Great question. Many things to say about this. First of all, when you say, what do I do with the awareness? You don't do anything with the awareness. Awareness is awareness. So you observe it. To have awareness about this is great. Again, what I said to Tina in the very beginning, or anyone, is like, when you are aware of something, take a breath for the sake of being aware of it. You don't do anything with the awareness. I know what you mean. You're asking, what am I actually doing with those unwanted feelings, right? What am I doing with those feelings that I feel, that I have in my heart, that I don't want to have, right? And what I'm going to say, you know already, but I'm going to say it anyway. What you resist, what you don't want, you put more energy in it. So my answer to you is, acknowledge it, be aware of it, breathe through it, look at it, embrace it, welcome those feelings. And don't listen to the voice who is telling you, oh, to feel those feelings isn't good, or anger isn't good, or whatever the voice that we have inside of us that, wants to keep you in suffering. To experience anger, to experience bitterness or hatred, that's not the problem. Your reaction or your belief about it or what you make out of it is what causes suffering. So when you are aware of that anger, that bitterness, that hatred in your heart, first of all, be aware of it, give it space. Take a deep breath. And I mean you, take a deep breath right now. Yeah, take a deep breath. Give it space. Look at it. Don't fight it. Don't judge it. Don't try to get rid of it. It's not even real, most of it. When you look at it, if you put light into it and you really face it, literally something, imagine, you're running away from something constantly. There's this huge, big cloud, or dragon, whatever, skeleton, ghost, and we run away from it constantly, and it comes closer, closer, and we're afraid of it. We keep running until the moment that we stop. And you look at it, and you only look at it. You look at it to find out and you listen. What is it saying? And suddenly this huge monster becomes a little mouse. And you realize, hey, that is not me. And fighting it, there's no point. And then you can dig a little deeper. Hey, what's the pain underneath the hatred? What's the pain underneath the anger? What's underneath there? And what's the truth? Take a breath. Take a deep breath. Oh, this helps. I'm going to check your comments. And I know I'm over, time is kind of up, but I want to see if I missed anything important here. And if I didn't answer your question today, either I sent you already an email answering your question, not live, and or if I missed a question, please send me your question again. But I took those 4 because I thought that would be time-wise what I could do. Alyssa, hello. Fear of abandonment for me, even if it's my mom's emotional abandonment. Yeah, yeah, abandonment. It's the same what I just said to Emily. You know, there's always something that wants to pull us back. There's always something, and I spoke about this last week. You know, that voice inside that wants us to make believe we are stupid, fat, ugly, alone, not loved, a failure, we're never going to make it, and then it drives us to some self-sabotaging, self-destructive, numbing mechanisms. So be alert, stay awake with love and gentleness and kindness. Watching, become an observer of yourself. Okay, so I think we're good. I don't think I missed any questions. And thank you so much for being here today. If I did miss a question, let me know. Take a deep breath. And before we jump off, take your phone, set a reminder for Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time next week, and come back here to co-create together, to be in a vortex together, to be in an energy together. And before you jump off, take a deep breath, connect up. Let the energy rise, and choose for today to stay awake. Choose for today to stay awake. And by awake, I mean internally. Watch your thoughts, watch your feelings, and what's the truth. And be gentle. Take the pressure off. Let go of control. Stop trying to control so much. Go inward. Connect with your true self. Connect with your higher self. And let life guide you. And let your higher self guide you. Knowing that all is well, even though sometimes it feels so not. I'm with you. So, and you're welcome, Linda. I appreciate you. Happy you were here today. And I will see you Monday again. Much love.